Hi, everybody, and welcome to another edition of GLP's 10 out of 10. And today we have with us Alex Reardon. Born in London, Alex got into music early, becoming a classically trained musician and earning a scholarship to Radley College in Oxford. His lighting career started by just giving a friend a helping hand before deciding that there may actually be a career in it, and then learning the ropes as a lampy and then as a programmer. Notably, one of the first whole hog programmers through his childhood friendship with one of the original Flying Pigs, Nick Archdale. Alex's design career began in the new wave genre of UK music, working with artists such as Adam Ant, Tears for Fears, and Duran Duran. Moving to Los Angeles in 1998, Alex then began taking on set design duties as well as lighting designer for acts such as Disturbed, John Legend, and the Dixie Chicks, a show which earned him a Parnelli Award nomination as Lighting Designer of the Year. Continuing to evolve, Alex then added the role of creative director to his resume, creating numerous award shows, performances for his clientele, including Nick Jonas, Fifth Harmony, and 30 Seconds to Mars. Whilst his client list grows longer and longer, Alex is now design partner and president of Silent House, a global award-winning design agency based in Los Angeles, where he continues to use his design vision of combining musicality with an appreciation of form and function. In his own words, the success of any design relies on three elements being in perfect balance: aesthetics, logistics, and budget. Welcome, Alex Reardon.
Thank you very much. What a glowing introduction. I'd forgotten half of that, to be honest.
It's all distant
memoir for the aging mind.
There we go. I'm glad I could spark a few little flashbacks for you. We've got our 10 questions for you. So let's dive in. The first one is, what was your first show as a designer?
It could have been Adam Ant. But the first show I went out as a co-designer, where I actually had some input in it, was as a co-designer working ostensibly with, but in reality under, the legend that is Peter Barnes. And it was an East 17 tour. And I was officially the LD and he was the sort of set designer, but I didn't know what I was doing. So he just said, look, we'll call you the LD as well. And I was basically being a sponge and learning everything I possibly could.
Right.
But it was a really hard tour. I was like board op, crew chief, tech, I mean, everything. And it was great fun with it. But then again, you do when you're that young.
Yes. Yeah. There we are. I'm sure, obviously, you know, through all those hazy days and up until now, you've obviously worked on a tremendous number of different shows and different designs. And I'm sure they all went swimmingly smoothly.
Right.
Right. Have you got any kind of Spinal Tap moments that you were willing to share? I
was working as a projectionist, something I had no idea and should never have been allowed to do. On a tour for a chap called Jason Donovan, who was an Australian soap star that became a sort of pop icon for a while, and working with a Spotco and operating Dataton, running carousel projectors that were hung under a truss in front, downstage of the downstage lighting truss.
Right.
But they've been upgraded to have a new bulb, so the heat was causing dramas with the slides going in and out. Out front, we had a 5K projector with a single slide of a globe or something to spin around. And someone at the Spotco had made an image rotator, which is a very smart name for basically the very speed motor off a mirror ball, some bits of metal, springs, and a little rubber grommet, and you kind of unpinch this thing and put this enormous 5K single slide in, and then just change the rate of rotation to the little China graph pencil mark.
Perfect.
Which seemed like a stupid idea at the time, so why not? You know, it was a Spotco. So what would happen usually is that at some point during its travel, and it would take two of us because we're all trying to hold on to the corners of this thing.
Right.
Someone would lose concentration, and the spring tension inside would catapult the slide across the arena.
Right.
And part of the image slide is a gate to mitigate the beam spread. Now, once the image has gone in entirety, we'd basically cover half of an arena with white light from a big 5K projector while we both dived under the seating of all the audience members, pushing them out of the way to try and find, found it, hey, and trying to get it back in before the song ended.
Brilliant. Okay, so kind of continuing on from that, what would you say is the best piece of advice anyone has ever given you, either professionally or otherwise?
Patrick Woodruff very wisely said, whatever you do, don't make the same mistake twice.
Okay.
So in the days of actually running the show rather than it being time coded, if you, for example, hit a strobe when it was a ballad, a really obvious, and everyone went, fuck. And you got called into production afterwards on that little crackle on the radio, oh shit.
Yeah.
And he said, you can get away with doing anything else wrong, just not that, because that's the one thing that everyone will be watching for.
Right.
Management might come out front of house just to make sure that thing doesn't go wrong, so they don't get yelled at by the artist. So never make the same mistake twice. The other bit of advice that was given to me, which is actually brilliant, is from my stepdad, actually. And he said, never leave someone pissed off with you. Never make an enemy. I think all of us from time to time, when under enormous amounts of stress, can, in that moment of stress, just blurt out something mean to someone. And I understand where it comes from, but if you can be sentient enough in that intense pressure to understand what the other people, the subordinates in the weird pecking order of a show are doing and the pressure they're feeling, don't be casually mean to people. Right. Don't just because you're in a bad mood doesn't mean you should pass it on to someone else, is what I'm really saying. And if it does happen, go and say sorry. There's nothing wrong with saying sorry. Like, God doesn't know, look, fuck, I'm so sorry, I probably blew up, and it wasn't you, and I just did a thing with a thing and a bang, and sorry.
Fix it.
Just I suppose it's an extension of the golden rule, really, I suppose.
Yes. Yeah. There we go. Fantastic. Two great pieces of advice. Again, you've done a lot already in your career so far. What would you say is your proudest achievement professionally?
I think I'd answer that in two parts. There's the creative side of it, and then there's the business side of it. I think creatively, designing and directing Tyler the Creator's performance at the Grammys last year was an enormously successful creative endeavor. And from the business side of things, I'd say when Baz asked me to be president of Silent House, that was quite something. I mean, it's such an incredible company full of the most brilliant people that it was really humbling. Like, wow, okay.
Yeah. Of course, so many of your projects take you away from home for short or extended periods of time. But when you're back at home and you're kind of off the clock, what do you normally do in your downtime?
Yes. My great passion is motorcycles.
Right.
I think there's nothing more wonderful to clean the static out of your brain than giving it some around the twisty canyon roads of the Santa Monica Mountains. I also play a bit of piano. I got a music scholarship to Radley when I was a kid, so I've kept playing a bit of music. Again, it's just sort of self-therapy, I suppose. Puts me in a happy place, and it's something to do with getting away from the phone and the work and everything for a while and just shifting gears. Yeah. But yeah, bikes and music are my thing.
There we go. And great. And as you said, Southern California is a great place for both of those, but especially the biking.
Oh yeah. Any petrol head's gonna love it around here.
You've obviously, again, worked all the way around the world in different venues. Would you say that you've got a particular favorite venue anywhere?
I realized that there are kind of two metrics for identification as to which are the good venues. And the obvious one, which I think is actually the wrong one, was my first reaction to was which has the best facilities, which is the cleanest, which is all that sort of stuff. But I think actually the best venue is the venue where I've experienced the best gigs. Right. And that, without any doubt and by a mile, is Brixton Academy. And I don't even know why. Right. I've gone and I'm going to touch it. Every time I've gone through the academy, it's been a belter of a gig. Right. The audience have been into it. They've been singing, going mad. I mean, I've done heavy metal, I've done pop acts, I've done raves there. I mean, I have never had a bad gig at Brixton Academy, and I've no idea why.
There we go. Right, perfect. Brixton Academy, it is. Right then. Obviously, in the last however many months it's been now, we've had different levels of lockdown coming on and off. If you could only have access to one musical artist or one album for an extended period of time, who would that be?
One artist would have to be David Bowie. I don't think I'd pick any one of his albums particularly, because his whole catalogue is so diverse. If there was one uplifting, I mean, because we all have needed that for the last year, I'd say the album that is guaranteed to put a smile on my face would have to probably be Faithless Reverence.
Okay.
I think it's one of the best dance albums ever, one of the best dance bands ever.
Yeah. There we are. Okay, so now if you could wind the clock back and go and visit the teenage Alex and offer him one piece of advice, what would that be?
I don't know, because I don't think the teenage me would have listened, for a start. I didn't think I was that obdurate when I was a teenager, but looking back, I mean, I've always kind of wandered around to the beat of my own drum anyway. I would probably say, listen to the advice you're being given, would be the advice.
Right.
There's no one thing. I would say, look, you're going to be given advice by people who have been through what you're going through. Don't discount them.
Right.
Because to a teenager, anyone more than 6 months older than you just doesn't know what's going on, and it's all different my day, and all this nonsense. But I think if I was able to impart one pearl of wisdom into my teenage self, it would be that the advice you're being given is probably quite good, and listen to it, you idiot.
Right. Yeah. Pay attention.
Pay attention.
Well, that's great. That is absolutely great advice. Yeah. Keep your ears open. Listen. Pay attention.
Listen to the advice. It's not bullshit.
Right. Yeah, they're saying it for a reason.
Yeah.
They know something. There we are. Brilliant. If you were able to sit down for a cup of coffee with any one person at all, either living or past, who would that be?
If I could, I'd quite like to sit down and have a cup of coffee with my grandmum.
Okay.
My maternal grandmother. She was very important to me, and I didn't realize how important she was to me when I was a kid. We used to, because as you can tell by that, half the family is Canadian. Okay. And we used to go out to this tiny little town outside Montreal every summer and go and see it. And she was wonderful. And I think that would be a nice thing to do in terms of being able to talk to someone who you can't talk to right now.
Right. There we are. Okay. And so we make it to our final question. It comes around real quick. Once we're done with the interview, Team USA are going to be on the phone to you, and they're going to call you up for the Olympics. Now, it could be for the Summer Games or it could be for the Winter Games. But the question is, what's the sport they're going to call you up for?
It's not an Olympic sport, but it's something I could compete at an Olympic level at, and that would be daydreaming.
Daydreaming. Okay.
I could, as a teenager, I could look out the window for weeks, get nothing done. I wasted one of the best educations in England by staring out the window and having little thoughts to myself. Right. And I still do it. And I still am glad that I do that. Yeah. Ideas pop up. Whole stories happen. I have entire conversations with many different, it's sort of subplots and different genres. It's fun. It's great in here. You don't necessarily want to go in, but for me, it would be my Olympian sport. I'd be a gold medalist in daydreaming.
Champion daydreamer.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, well, there we go. I guess all you need is a cloudy sky and just watch them roll by. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even need that, honestly. I could be in the middle of a Zoom call. Not this one.
Thank you. There we go. Right then. Champion daydreamer it is. We'll take that. You are our first daydreamer on our 10 out of 10 Olympic squad. So
I'm sure everyone else has come up with sensible things. That's never been my way.
Right, that's perfect. That's what we like. Alex, this has been brilliant. Thank you so much for finding the time for this. I know obviously you're starting to get busy as things hopefully are turning the corner and we start to get rolling again. So it's really appreciated. Good luck obviously with all the future projects coming up, and yeah, we look forward to catching up in person at the next opportunity.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Mo. Thank you.
All right, take care. Bye.